Okay, well, we're live. Well, Javonna, you're here, so I guess we know. I guess we know that that was not the right button to push. Okay, anyway.
Ah.
All right, everyone. I had plans to do this whole little introduction um, for Javonna. I'm going to let her talk about herself here in just a second, but I do want to welcome you to my channel. I am Pryl, otherwise known as Positively Pryl on my little corner of the internet. And today we have a guest with us, company. And I need to wish you good morning, Javonna, because it is morning where you are. And it's evening or nighttime where the rest of us are. So, anyway, I guess let's go ahead and get started. Javonna, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Javonna MaeRhys, and I am a holistic life coach and international teacher living in Brunei. And I help women who are overwhelmed and overcommitted learn how to do less and live more.
Oh, I love that. That is what sucked me in as soon as I saw it. I'm like, we are we are destined to meet. All right. So as she mentioned, she is not in the United States. We are going to
Mhm.
get to that, later on in our conversation. But what Giovanna and I are going to talk about today is her path to self discovery. Now, I talk about that all the time, but we're going to discuss her path to self discovery from being this successful. Okay, we know what the air quotes means, the black excellence. Ugh, we don't like that. Boo. Yes. But but she was a successful high school principal and she was doing the most. Okay. She was on team too much. And
Mhm.
she has had a transformation and a metamorphosis of such into this beautiful woman that she is right now, inside and out. And we're going to talk about that. So let me go ahead and see. I see Pisces. Hello, Pisces. Hello, Pisces. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so Giovanna, I guess we're going to go ahead and get started. So, first thing is, I want you to go back, 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 and let's talk about that high achieving, black excellent,
Mhm.
successful version of yourself.
Oh, yeah. So I remember, so I was married in my mid 20s and I ended up going through a divorce, and Team Do Too Much was really birthed out of a sense of needing to survive. I found myself as a single mom with a child, not getting help from my ex-husband. And it was bad. There were lots of issues. I thought at one point I was going to be evicted from my home. And so I said to myself, okay, Giovanna, you cannot be living in poverty. Um, you've got to provide for your son. And so I started working. I was teaching at the time. I, sold things. I did everything I needed to do to survive, and that included upskilling and trying to climb the educational hierarchy, which means becoming an assistant principal. And so, almost immediately, I did become an assistant principal. And when you start making more money, you've got more responsibilities. For me, I just kept climbing. I was in that mode of I've got to do well, I've got to make money, I've got to be okay, my son has to be okay. And so I just kept climbing, climbing, climbing. And then before I knew it, I had bought a house, I had a six-figure income as a principal, I was doing all the things. I also was on muscle relaxers because my neck was
Mm.
locked up from stress. I couldn't even move half the time. I had an eye twitch that would come,
Oh,
especially in the spring. And that was who I was when I was Team Too Much. It was working all day, working on the weekend, going to all the games, going to board meetings, um, dealing with all of the stuff that's happening in education right now, the bad stuff, with
mhm.
behaviors of both kids and parents and all of that. So it was just a lot of stress, but I was still in the process of doing the absolute most. I was researching, starting a PhD program. I was researching all of these certifications that I could get. I was looking at, in fact, I am certified to be a superintendent. I got my superintendent certification, and I was looking at moving into central office, eventually becoming an assistant superintendent. I was on my way, girl. I was doing all the stuff. And then a culmination of things made me stop and reflect and analyze and come to terms with the fact that I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. I wasn't living at all.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I was not living at all.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because you talked about your, not that I'm laughing, that's not funny. I'm laughing now because I have very similar things, like a shoulder, like my hip wasn't right, my joints would be achy from the stress. So let's talk about that. So you said that you worked your way up. Um, and I completely understand that. To whom much is given, much is required. And I think that we are so enamored by making more and more money that we really
Mhm.
don't pay attention to all the stuff that's being piled up on us. Or we're like, well, we did get a promotion, so we have to do more. But you mentioned that you had a twitching eye, you had a neck, bad neck that was locked up. What was happening at your job or in your home life? Because I know you said you started out with a need to survive, but I think at some point you probably got out of the need to survive. But did you get out
Mhm.
of that mindset? Were you still in like go survivor mode?
Oh yeah, that was the issue, is that I was still in that mindset. I hadn't ever turned off survival mode. You've got Maslow's hierarchy, and in the beginning I
Mhm.
was, at the bottom trying to make sure we had food and shelter and all that stuff. And then as I was working, because we keep our head down, we push forward, when things are not going the
Mhm.
way that they're supposed to, just tunnel vision, get it
Yep.
done. And so I had been doing that for so long that I didn't stop to look around and say, hey, Mike, I make I've got a good job.
Right.
I'm making good money. I bought a house. Like, why why am I continuing to struggle like I'm about to be living on the streets? And so
Mhm.
I had to assess like what I essentially had to start taking care of myself and implementing some mindfulness techniques. I, you know, um, started working on journaling and meditation and yoga, and just making time to be with myself and to learn how to self-regulate in healthy ways that didn't include just being busy. Because let me tell you, when I was back in it, when I got stressed, there was no reflection, there was no, sitting with myself. If you
Mhm.
wanted to see a cleaning frenzy, if you came in my house and I was cleaning like down on the floor with a toothbrush, that meant something was going on.
Oh my
Like
God.
it
Me
is
too. I'm the
not
same
okay.
way. I'm the same way. I mean, like I need to clean, like Finding Nemo, the one thing that's like Jacques
Oh
has to
yeah,
clean up the
right.
poop. She's got to clean all the time. That's that. Yeah. So I understand that. So would you consider yourself having come from an education? Was it I know it was a good job as far as the checklist is concerned, but did you have any issues on the job, or everything was
Oh,
good?
certainly. Certainly.
Okay.
Well, so I guess the issues that I had to I didn't have any issues that I was causing, because I kept everything, locked up and locked in.
Hmm.
But just the state of education itself, what eventually led me to making this move abroad. One of the things that led me to it was just last year was bad. I was physically assaulted. I was punched
Oh,
in the stomach, breaking up a fight. I almost got set on fire.
oh
It
my
was,
goodness.
it was bad. It was bad. So there were a lot of things happening, and I was at a good school, and it's just all of my friends who I talk to who are in education in the States, especially, APs, they'll say, I feel like I work for the DA. I
Mm,
feel like I'm a police officer, and it's dealing with the behaviors of students, it's the behaviors of their parents not wanting them to take accountability. It's, is today the day that someone's going to come in and shoot up the school? It's just all of these physical and emotional mental pressures working. And I always tell teachers who say that they're considering getting out of education, that may be a path for you, but I also say maybe it's not the profession, maybe it's the location.
mm,
And
mhm.
so that's what it was for me, it was the location. And so I've been able to um, reignite my passion here because I'm not dealing with all of those other issues that I was dealing with back in the States.
Ooh, okay, give a little appetizer. Real fast, let me jump in before I ask you the next question. As we discussed offline, I was a school teacher for for 4 school years, a high school teacher. Look, when you start talking about the kids or something, look, these are equal opportunity hands, okay? And I would I would be one of them teachers. They would be filming, like, the teacher whipped up on 3 kids. Like, oh my goodness, it's an involuntary response. But I could only imagine, as I shared with you, for me, it was seeing those children. I taught at an inner city school. High 90th percentile were Mexican students. They were all impoverished, so everyone got free lunch. They had a breakfast and lunch program even during intercession breaks all summer. And it was tough for me because these kids would literally get beat up and jumped while they're trying to get to school, or everyone in their family has either been locked up or a teen parent. And what would really, really break my heart is on Monday morning, I will pull into the parking lot. I taught 0 hour, which is like,
Yeah.
beforehand. Yeah. Okay. You know what that is. Okay. I taught 0 hour as well. And there would be parents lined up alongside of the building because so many parents called their children out when they hit 16, which in the state of Arizona is the law. And they would be lined up. They would be lined up like, they're getting some tickets or something to somewhere. And it broke my heart. They had a window, like they slide the window up, like when you go to the drive-through, and they would just sign out there. These are kids that have potential and they want more for themselves. And like how you mentioned, the parents come in there. So I could only imagine that was close to 20 years ago now. So I could only imagine what's happened.
Oh, it's changed.
Right. Okay. Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Like I got out. See, the Lord knew. Okay.
Oh,
Because anyway, okay. But back to it. Okay. So you were having all of these pressures. Pressures on the job, pressures for the Black excellence. When you talk to your peers, they're all having the same sentiments, which that sometimes, you can become your own worst hype man, or people around you. If they echo the same sentiments you have, it's like, oh no, I was hoping that you would tell me something to encourage me. Okay, so let's talk about, because it sounds like leading up to these things, you were in survival mode. You were, working, you were climbing the ladder. You didn't have to be, but you didn't know how to get off this, merry-go-round. Let's talk about what was that moment when you realized you were sick and tired of being sick and tired, that there was like a crucial moment where things switched.
Yeah, I liken it to when a lizard or something has a limb cut off, and maybe it's still twitching because it doesn't know that it's not attached. Is probably a bad metaphor, but that's all I can think of right now. Is things had changed for me. I knew it, but I didn't recognize it until a couple of years later. A couple more things happened, and so the pivotal moment for me, I always say, started with a vibrator, nipple clamps, and a butt plug. Yes.
Hold on. Let me sit back because my hair won't fit in the frame. Okay, let me sit back.
So I'm taking my glasses off.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's that type of story. Okay.
So this is when I was still an administrator, and I was working as an assistant principal in an affluent school. And so most of the issues we had were kids selling drugs and, things of that nature. And grabbed a kid who was in the restroom with her boyfriend, and they had backpacks. And we did a search, me and another assistant principal, as was our, policy, 2 adults in the room. And we found a vape, which was normal, always finding those. And then there was a little bag, a little furry pink bag, like Hello Kitty or something.
Oh, okay.
And so I unzipped the bag, and I remove a little vibrator,
Hmm.
nipple clamps,
Oh, okay.
and a butt plug.
And how old are these kids right now?
14.
Oh, okay. Continue
14.
with your story. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And also I'm wearing gloves because I also learned you've got to wear gloves when you search kids' bags because I have found some interesting things.
Mm.
And so I'm taking these things out. And so it was really then that I realized something has got to change because I cannot keep doing this. This is not why I got into education. I did not get into education to um, search people's bags and find things I don't want to find sex toys and drugs and all of these things, and then to have to call and have the conversation with their parents about the things that I have found on their children, and then to have them argue with me about what I found on their children. So that was my life. And so, that happened, but I kept going. I put my
Mm.
head down, kept going, kept pushing, kept pushing. And then what actually really changed was having the support of my now husband in saying, you don't have to do this, you know. Because I grew up military and I moved around quite a bit when I was a child, and I always knew I wanted to move abroad.
Mhm.
But in the midst of survival mode, I was later when I retire, when my son graduates from high school.
Mhm.
And when I got remarried, I married someone who also loves travel and who also works remotely. And
Oh.
so after the year I had last year, coupled with everything else that's just piled up over the years, um, he said, I know we talked about moving abroad when you retire or when your son graduates from high school, but what are we waiting for, honestly? And so at that point, that's when I reflected on all of the things I'd gone through, all of the health issues, the neck, the eye, the blood pressure, the
Mhm.
this, the that. And I
Mhm.
said, okay. And so I did everything I needed to do to start applying and found what I thought was the best package. And then here I am. And when I tell you, it's the best decision for me, for my
Oh.
family. I'm thriving. My son is thriving. My eye twitch is gone.
Yes.
I'm dealing, with lovely children who I don't have to force to learn, who, the teaching is respected in a lot of places outside of
Like
the
it
United
used
States.
to be.
Everybody knows that. Yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
so, it's a respected profession. And so the parents respect you, the kids respect you. And it just, I feel alive in the profession again.
Oh, Javonna. That's amazing. Oh, I love that for you. Okay, so hold on. I wanna circle back to something that you talked about when you did the mindfulness. Hold on. Before that, when you told people that you were going to leave, or if you told people, what were their reactions?
Um, so my I waited until of course I had my contract signed,
Mhm.
and then I spoke to my superintendent, and he was surprised and sad because I, was on a track. I was on a
Mhm.
trajectory in that school district. And I liked the people that I worked with at central administration, and they were doing the best they could with the circumstances that we all found ourselves in education. And so, we just had a good conversation about what led up to it and where I was going. And then when I told my staff, um, it's as principal, whenever you call a meeting, a surprise meeting, everyone gets nervous.
Oh boy. Yes.
And so, I waited until the last minute to call the meeting because I knew if I gave them leeway, I'd have people coming to my office trying to figure out what it was about.
Mhm.
And so when I had the meeting and I told them, people, there were some tears because I worked really hard to be an advocate for my teachers, because as an administrator, I always believed that the teachers were the most important people in the building because they touch the kids on a daily basis. And so everything that I did was about supporting them to make sure, that they were well. Like, those teachers who were staying until 6 and 7 o'clock at night, I would go around and chastise them. When it was time to go, I would get on the announcements and say, okay, it is now this time, you need to go home. And then I would walk around and be like, okay, you heard the announcement. You need to go home. Go be with your family. Get out of here. This work will be here tomorrow. And so I really tried to make sure that I saved them from themselves and kept them well. And so I built some really good relationships. And so it was tough to leave, but I knew that that's what I needed to do.
Oh, yeah, that's got to be tough. I think about my own team. I fuss at them. Like, I'm like, your time is your time. Are you on green? What are you doing on here? I fuss at them too, because and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but correct me if I'm wrong. You were the type of leader that you wished someone would have been to you, and then maybe you would not be, have been in that position that you were in if you had a Javonna in your
Oh,
life.
yeah. I mean, I was in the classroom for 10 years. I wasn't an administrator who got in to be an administrator. And so I had been in the classroom for 10 years. So I knew what it was to be in the classroom and everything they were dealing with. And so I just tried to support them the way that I wish someone had supported me.
Yeah. So what about friends and family?
I got a lot of, you're really brave. I could never do it. My mom let out a curse.
Not
and then immediately recovered and said, okay, tell me where you're going. And then she researched it, and then she was supportive. And my dad, was the same way. And my mom kept telling me, your dad is having a tough time with this. Make sure you're spending time with your dad. And I was like, well, he hasn't said anything. Is it him or is it you? But we lived pretty close. We all lived within 40 minutes of each other.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but with them having been in the military and traveling, I mean, they got it, and now, in fact, we're flying them here in August. So they're going to come visit in August.
That'll be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So now back to my original question that I never finished. But okay. So you got to that point. You have the support of your now husband. Everybody's on board. Instead of leaving the situation and fingers and toes crossed, hoping and praying that when you get there, things would change for you. You mentioned that you did some exercises, some mindfulness, some journaling, things like that. Tell me a little bit about that process before you doing some self work. Was it easy? Did you have any professional assistance? And I don't want you to go, because what we don't do on this channel is be doing the trauma dump. Sometimes you watch these conversations and I start getting anxious and like my hives again, and I got to turn it off. So I'm not asking you to, go back there, but just if you could just share a little bit.
Oh yeah, certainly.
What that ugly start look like.
Yeah, I mean, the ugly start was, of course, after the divorce and going into therapy. And so going into therapy, working on things, figuring out my part, his part, all of that, and then doing lots of reading, personal development books, lots and lots of journaling, and then just taking time for myself. Like, I didn't even think about dating for like 2 years. There was nothing happening anywhere because I needed to reconnect with who I really was. And it was during that time that I was, doing yoga, that I was meditating, that I was journaling, that I was just being with myself while doing the most at work, as well. But, I was getting to know myself and who I wanted to be in this new season of my life. And eventually I did go on to become a certified yoga instructor. I do that as well, and a breath coach. And I use those techniques with clients because a lot of the women I work with are in the throes of doing the absolute most, and they need some techniques to self-regulate and to come back to themselves. So that's essentially what it was me just consuming. I'm an information hoarder. So if there's something I'm interested in, I've got all the courses, I've got all the books, I've got PDFs, I've got everything,
Mhm.
and it's organized into little folders. So, that's what I did, and that's what I still do. I still um, do a lot of reflection. Every day I'm on the mat. I'm doing breath work and all of those things because it's an ongoing process. And you and I have talked before about how just because you've made it through something, it's like, it's like Freddy Krueger. He always comes
Yeah.
back. Whatever it is, it always comes back. And so, but when it comes back, you've got strategies in place to say,
Mhm.
okay, get back in your place,
Yep.
So
Yep. I love that. Okay. So before we talk about um, who you are right now and how you help other women who were once in your position, tell me about this version of you living halfway across, well, more than halfway across the world. And tell me about that, the joy that you feel, the freedom you feel.
oh, let me tell you.
Is
It
it?
is so wonderful. Well, I mean, because I looked at different places, and the thing that got me about Brunei is that the company I'm working for, they had a lot of videos featuring teachers who are teaching here. And the thing I kept hearing over and over again was people say that I thought I was coming here for 1 year, and that was 12 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And they kept saying that, because Brunei is called the abode of peace. Um,
Let me write this down. I'm listening.
and and the people who come here with their families, people come here, they raise their children, and it's just a peaceful environment. Like, everybody is so kind. Everywhere has issues, of course, but it's, there's no road rage. People don't even honk their horns here. Like, there has to be an imminent threat of a collision for someone to honk a horn at you. Um, my school day is, I teach three 50-minute classes a day, sometimes two. The schedule is not the same schedule every day. Yes, you heard me correctly. So
Hold
I,
on. I'm adding up. I did 0 hour. I had like two 90-minute blocks. I had, oh, okay, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So 3 days a week, I work from 7:15 until 2, and the other 2 days I work from 7:15 till 12:30. And so I have three or two 50-minute courses, and the rest of that time is planning time for me while I'm there. So there's no taking anything home. There's no, all my planning is done at work. Everything is done. When I leave work, I am done. I've been off the entire month of December. I'm off during April. I have 3 weeks in August. um, the company, they pay to fly me and my family here. They pay for my son to go to an international school. um, we get bonuses at the beginning of the year. They give us flight allowances to visit home in December. I don't have a mortgage. I'm living in a 5 bedroom, 5 bathroom house,
I
for
may need
for
to dust
free.
off something. Let me see if I still got my Arizona certification. Hold on now. Say what? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna catch up. So no mortgage, 5 bedroom. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had a cleaning lady back home who would come, once a week or once every other week. I have one now that comes 3 days a week.
Whoa.
And it's highly affordable, obviously. I have a personal trainer who comes to my house 3 times a week. It's, the affordability and the time. Like, we've traveled to
Mhm.
Malaysia. We're going to Bali in April. There's lots of I mean, we're in the rainforest, so there's parks everywhere. We're always going hiking. We're always, going somewhere out in nature. We're trying new food. And because I'm not in the throes of, doing the absolute most, I'm no longer exhausted at the end of the day. When I was back home, I had no energy to do anything outside of work, if I wasn't at work anyway, because you work the
Mhm.
day and then you've got stuff
Yeah,
after
we're like this.
school,
Yeah.
you've got
And
board
let's say at night
meetings
for
until 9, 10
conferences and
o'clock.
things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And so I didn't have
same.
energy. Yeah. And so now it's like, and I'm an introvert by nature. So, my extrovert, I'm on during the day, I get everybody
Mhm,
hyped up, but then I got to go
mhm.
recharge because I'm
Yep,
tired. And
yep,
I'm
yep.
tired. I got to recharge.
Same.
And so, back home, I thought, well, that's just a function of me being an introvert. But actually, I'm just tired. We have
Mm,
a big social group now. Like we have, gatherings. We had like a Friendsgiving with, like 30
mm.
people in our house that we cooked for. And, we're always going out to barbecues, and we're part of a jungle hiking group that meets once a week. And, so it wasn't that I am introverted and I do need time to recharge, but I was so exhausted. And
Mm.
so I have the space now to live. I'm doing less and I'm living more. And we're not.
Oh, yay. And now we're at my favorite part of the conversation. Okay, so let's talk. I want to hear more about how you are serving women and really helping them get, to a emotional place, and plan things
Mhm.
out for themselves, their own path to self-discovery. But tell me about the work that you do, because I was mostly joking, but I wrote some stuff down. What if someone is watching this and they're like, oh, you know what? I want to become a teacher too. I want to learn some of those things and work at a school abroad. Tell me about what you have for those women to be able to get their international certifications.
Yeah, so for women who are interested in not leaving the profession but changing locations, I offer several packages and all of them have me look at your resume, to look at your cover letter. We have a conversation about what is it that you're looking for. What are you, excuse me, what are you coming from? What are you looking for? Because the world is our oyster. And so, depending on what type of climate you want to live in, what kind of packages are you looking for? Are you looking to be, are you a teacher? Are you a counselor? Are you an administrator? And so, we talk about those specifics, and then we tweak their resume. I tweak their resume, tweak the cover letter, and then we do some coaching. We do some interview practice, things of that nature. And I have tons of resources to help with that process.
Okay. All right. And for those of you who are watching currently, hello. And I think I forgot to say hello to the people watching from the future. Hello. Okay. Now, okay, so that's the career coaching part. And thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about your holistic life coach side.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
how you help women. Because, again, as I mentioned to you before, we have similar audiences. There are
Hmm.
people who are aware that things need to change, they're willing to change things. And yeah, but it's like, where do they start? And they want those steps kind of lined out for them. So let's talk about some of the things that you have for
Oh
me.
yeah, certainly. Yeah, and so for people who are aware and willing, that's the first step, right? Is knowing that something has got to change and then partnering with someone who can help you with accountability and doing those things. Um, so I offer a self-paced course, Do Less, Live More. That is kind of an introduction to my process of doing less. When I'm working with women, one of the first things that we have to do is we've got to get back in touch with what your values are. We've got to define your values, because a lot of times we've been mothering, working, studying, doing all of these things. because we had values or goals that we set in place years ago. And since that time, we've kept growing and changing, but we haven't reevaluated whether or not these things over here still apply to the woman that we are now. And so we
Mhm.
go through a process um, of redefining what those things are for you so that we can make sure that the actions that we come up with align with what your values truly are. So just reconnecting with your authentic self, reconnecting with your values, and then we move into optimization, optimizing your day to day structure to be in line with those values, which then includes limiting and eliminating things that no longer serve you. So, are there things that you're doing in your life that you should no longer be doing? Um, it reminds me of a story of working with a teacher who was super stressed out about everything. And I asked her to walk me through her day. And this is when I was still a principal. And so I asked her to walk me through her day, and she, showed me all of these things that she was doing. And when she finished, I asked her, "Who asked you to do all this?"
Uh-oh, volunteering for work.
It's like, I need you to stop, because I did not ask you to do all of this. And I love and appreciate your passion, but you could be doing this, and this and still be getting the results. Like you're crying right now in front of me. So let's limit and eliminate some of these things. And that also includes setting some boundaries, and not just,
Word.
yeah, the B word, not just setting them, but having a strategy to implement them. Because it's
Mm,
not like you just set up a boundary and then, okay, I've set up my boundary and that is
yeah,
it. It's
yeah.
done. No, those things come up and you have to have a strategy in place to really hold firm to the boundaries that you've set. And then after we've done that part, so limiting and elimination, then we move into streamlining things. So we're taking all of the actions, the boundaries, the scheduling, everything that we've done, and we're streamlining it so that it's not you doing the most, that you really are truly doing less. And then finally, we sustain that. We come up with mindfulness practices and other strategies that are going to help you sustain this new way of being. And that's essentially my do less framework.
Nice. Okay, so and this is for women that are
Coaching.
not just
Mhm.
teachers, right? Okay.
Yeah,
And
this is for women who are overwhelmed, who are overcommitted. I love my teachers. I will always serve my teachers, but the things that they're going through in terms of caring a lot and that causing them to be overcommitted and
yeah,
overwhelmed, that applies to so many women in
yeah,
so many different areas of life.
yeah. Okay. And how long would you say? Because I'm gonna sign up. I just thought about that. So I'm gonna sign up for your course too, because as someone who loves information and knowledge, and I love to share it as well. But the way that this is set up, I want to experience it to really, be able to talk about it even more. And I know that this next version of myself that I am moving into, as I've mentioned on the channel before, I started really in about October working with my clinicians to do things for myself that only benefit me and do it without running down this like justification or how I deserve it. I've gotten over
Mhm.
the guilt. I've gotten over the avoidance and the aversion, but there's still some piece left that I have to run through this little, like run it through a filter. And I want to do it because I want to. The end, period, full sentence, not,
Mhm.
with all this, other stuff added on. So I'm definitely interested in your program. How long would you say it's designed to take? How long? I know it's self-paced, but
Mhm.
let's just say for the overachievers like myself and probably other ones. But how long would you say is kind of the length, the average length of the whole program?
I would say the average length is probably about 10 to 12 days. Um, it can go longer because there are several exercises within the program, especially once we start talking about boundaries and coping mechanisms, especially if you're dealing with anxiety. And so there are some pieces in there that really ask you to evaluate your current coping strategies, and not just in one sitting, but over several days. And
Okay.
so I would say probably about 10 to 12 days self pay if you're really sticking and going for it.
Okay. So about, I would say, a couple weeks, like 2 weeks or so.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And that's good because I don't think if you are truly, truly committed to this process, of embarking and traversing down your own path to self-discovery, I think that introspective period, that time, those times of self-reflection, having those prompts, having someone ask you a question and you're like, hold on, wait a minute.
Mhm.
And you sit in
Mhm.
it and think about it. So, okay. I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay. So then you mentioned that that's the first introduction to working with you. So it's designed for people to complete the self-directed course. And then if they want to work with you one-on-one
Mhm.
after that, then that's how you
Yeah,
would prefer to go, or can
yeah.
people just say, I want to work with you one-on-one? Like, tell me your process.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So people can go through the course if they want to, get that first um, interaction. But for people who want to jump in and work one on one, I do have one on one packages, and I do have um, full on a life synergy review, which goes through the entire process of doing less over several sessions.
Okay.
And within that process, I meet with people, and we have coaching conversations. We have assignments, we have homework, we have accountability based around what it is that is making you do the most, and coming up with a pathway for you to realistically learn to do less. And I will say that doing less, for me, it truly is a way of life. However, there are seasons in life. There are seasons where you're doing more things. For example, when we're moving to another country, that's not the time for me to do, like, I gotta,
I'm doing less.
yeah, yeah,
So you're
yeah.
talking about the ebb and flow. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. There is definitely an ebb and flow. It is not, nope, not doing that. Nope, not doing that. Nope, not, it's a little bit of that, right? But there's definitely an ebb and flow and a cycle to all of it. And so we work through that in coaching to figure out what's really going to work for your life, because that final part is, how's it going to be sustainable?
Right, right.
Because
That's
it's
the
got to be
biggest part.
sustainable.
Yeah. And that you have the techniques to, when something happens again, you can identify
Hmm.
it, and that recovery time gets a lot shorter.
Yeah,
The more
yeah.
you do it, like with anything, the more you practice it,
Hmm.
because we have muscle memory in our brain that is, depending on your age, it is that many years long. So for me,
Hmm.
40 plus years of, doing something the same way, and, 5 years of doing
Right,
things different, and,
right.
getting that muscle memory. So every now and again, stuff tries to jump up on your girl, but I can spot it, and then I can recover a lot faster from it because I have those strategies in place. So, okay.
Right. You've got those strategies and you've taken the time to be with yourself and recognize it.
Yes. Okay, I had to look at the time. I don't have my glasses on. So anyway. Okay, so I want to tell everyone briefly, I guess, of our origins story. We are both, and those of you who have been my day ones, which is really just like a month ago, but it's not the point. Those of you who have been with me since the beginning of my live stream journey have heard me talk about Exodus Summit. I usually bring it up every on every live because that's the only, that was the my introduction and the core group that all these other sister friends that I have, and these branches of Exodus Summit that have turned into various other groups. But there was a post that was put up, hey, if you have an offer if you've got, journals, whatever you're selling, or, your coaching offerings, things like that, products, go ahead and post a link. Now, normally I do not peruse those. I have zero interest because they will make me feel anxious. And I was feeling a little bit anxious because those of you who have watched, I guess maybe 2 videos ago, where I talked about how I had the workshop sell out in less than 12 hours, and also that I refunded everyone's money because it didn't feel right, and it wasn't aligned with the version of me who, in your words, do less, live more. But for me, it was, it just didn't feel right. But I did I felt bad. Not that I canceled, but I felt bad because selling out that fast shows me 2 things. One, that the price was too low, but that there was a need. There was a need for it. And I felt bad that I didn't have anything to offer. So serendipitously, I clicked on the post and perused down. What stopped me about your post, Javonna, that you put was you had things in like each line. So I said, oh, okay, because that's how I talk. Like emails, that I send like my email list and stuff. It's like single line because that's how I'm saying it. And so I'm like, oh, okay, let me check this out. When I went to Javonna's page for her do less, live more. Yeah, do less, live more, because I mix it up sometimes. I said, did somebody steal my copy? Like, what is going on here? The same thing, like many of the things that she was saying in the ways. And then we even talked about, like, you were going to name your program a similar name to what one of my existing businesses is. And, when I saw that, I said, wow, this is it. But let me reach out to her because she may be funny acting. I don't like everybody and I don't get along with everybody. And I believe that it is a privilege and an honor for me to show up here each week and have these, I think, 121 subscribers. I have this 121 people. And I've had more views than that, but that is several hundred people who have watched for at least 38 minutes, because that's what my analytics say. But they have watched, and that is such a privilege to me to be able to share that. And so I didn't want to introduce someone to my audience that I didn't know if I was feeling them. But we had a couple conversations. We were messaging back and forth on WhatsApp. And when we talked, I'm like, this is it. This is it. And I was so excited because the thing that I realized, I don't like to be bothered by things. And like I said, I felt bad and I was bothered by the fact that I did not have something to present to the audience, but I also was not willing to, I'm respecting my own boundaries, which is saying we're not going in this lane. This is somebody else's lane. And as I told you, Javonna, offline, I said, like, I was praying and I manifested you, which is why your copy was similar, which is why everything that you offer in this program, and just even as your holistic life coaching side of your business, were the things that I wanted to offer them as well. So it definitely was, this was meant to happen. And that is why, a perfect example, because I always like to see lessons in the things that I do. That is why it is important for you to stay in your lane, because if I would have, still pressed through and done it, because the old me would have just been like, well, you gave your word, so just do it. And I would have been like resented it. I would have done it. Procrastination shows up, and I am a planner, not a procrastinator at all. But that is one of the indicators that I probably shouldn't be doing this if I have to, rally myself up to be able to do it. And also, even though my audience is small right now, but I like Javonna and I both went through Stephanie Perry's YouTube Success Challenge. And the point of my channel is really to connect, to be a connector. I want to give a platform to other people and to help their audience, like people have helped me also in the Exodus Summit community by bringing me on their channel when I had 20 something subscribers, or 10. 3 of them were from my other accounts. But I do want you to tell people about the offer for my viewers. Hold on. Let me hit. I made a banner. You know, I get excited when stuff works. Okay, so you start talking. I'm gonna hit the banner. Okay.
So for the viewers today, I do have a special offer on my course. So there is, oh, that's so
I know.
cool. I'm gonna have to try that. I love
I'll
that.
tell you how to do it.
So for the viewers today, if you're interested in trying the course, I am offering 40% off because I don't want that to be the roadblock that stops you from starting to do the work that is really going to open the door for you to make the changes that you want to make. You're already on the precipice of living the life that you want to live. And so offering, the discount, my services, I just want to be there for people who are looking to make that change. It's my value is my highest value is learning and sharing that learning. So
Oh, I love that. I say knowledge and information sharing. I told you it's meant to be.
look at that.
So you
Look
can
at
see
that.
there. This is good through January 31st, right? There's a third
Yes,
one
it's
in
good
January.
through the end of, yes, I know I have to
Right.
think about that too.
So
Yeah, it's good through then.
okay, so I'm gonna post this on the community tab. Those of you who are watching, I post things on the community tab. Um, well, not as frequently, but that's on my 2024 plan. That starts on Sunday.
Soon.
But I'm going to start posting more things on the community tab, but this will be posted on the community tab as well. So you can click right to it. And yes, so this is a 40% discount offer program, which to me, I was like, oh, wow. This is an amazing value at the full price.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, hold on now, 40% off. Because one thing we're going to do is get us a sale. Okay. So I really think that you have demonstrated that you do not want this to money or finances to be. And I think that it is extremely affordable with that 40% off. And it brings it down, I think, to a price point that if you, for, 2 weeks, don't get that coffee at Starbucks or whatever, Dutch Brothers, then that's going to pay for the program. So, yeah, so I encourage everyone to go ahead and, check it out at minimum. And I am going to put, when we hop off of here, I am going to put, fill out the description of this live and put some of her other resources that she has as well. Because just looking at your, like that starting point that you have, like, I think that is crucial. Even if people may not have, because I don't like to, I don't keep my hands in people's pockets. And I do remember at a time when I was in survival mode and shoot, dollars would have made the difference between getting gas or, being able to buy some groceries. And I never forget that. So I'm very careful about, I don't want to say it's just, but it definitely is reasonable. And if that is something that you can afford at this time, she does have plenty of resources to help. And again, I think this is your course is an excellent introduction, because what you don't want to do is get all these packages and then you're not going to show up, or you're like, oh, I don't like how she talked to me, or in that place. So I think that's an excellent idea and that first step to being able to work with you. All right, so I'm going to keep the ticker going, but hold on. Now, how do I get back? Comments. Okay. All right. Oh, Pisces. Hold on. Let me show you what Pisces always get. She said, wait, why did she lean in about the sex comment? I know. I was like, oh, do tell. I didn't know where that was going to go, but
I know, I can see it on your face. You're like, where is this going to go?
Right. Well, look, wherever it went, I was down. Okay, I'm riding shotgun. Let's talk about it. Look, I don't know. Okay, people's proclivities. It's we're liberated now. Okay, so let me take this off of here. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and put them in the box. Put a Q before your question. And while we're at it, Javonna, can you tell people where they can find you?
Yeah. You can find me at Javonna
Oh, hold on, let me
MaeRhys
look up here. Okay.
on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, and on YouTube. So my main platforms are YouTube, even though I'm just starting out.
And you're doing an
And then
excellent job. Everybody go follow her. Wait a minute. Subscribe. Sorry. I'm on the
yes,
wrong
subscribe
page.
to
I'm over
me.
here talking about
Yes.
follow. Are we on Instagram? No. Go and subscribe to her channel. She does they're like digestible, but like, if you go someplace and there's heavy hors d'oeuvres and you look at it and you're like, but then you eat it and you be like, well, we don't even need to go to dinner because I'm full. That's how I feel about your videos. They're not long, but they are just so meaty and juicy that I love your channel. Well, I think
Thank
because I
you.
comment on everything and I liked all your videos. That's something else I left out. I said this woman is gonna wake up to all these emails like positively Pryl liked your video, positively Pryl left a comment. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe to her channel. Again, this is about lifting other Black people up and spreading this message of, we don't have to live how we have been living. And there are people who serve as testimonies and who also serve as guides. And I know I used to have a problem asking for help for a long, long time.
Oh yeah,
And
same.
there's help out there. There's resources out there. There's people out there who
Mhm.
are cheering for you and rooting for you. And they want to see you get that life of freedom and joy as well. So, okay, as you were saying, because I cut you off, your main platforms are.
Our Instagram and YouTube. So I'm
Okay.
always, posting on Instagram. I go live on Instagram, and then also YouTube. I'm posting, and then as soon as I have enough subscribers, I'll be able to go live. But yeah, those are my main platforms.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Last call. Any questions? I see some comments. Any questions? Okay. Well, when I say I'm not going to be before you long, I mean that. Javonna, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming
I
here,
appreciate you.
sharing just like the calm and the peace radiates off of you when you speak. Even when you smile, it just is like, okay, yeah, she's feeling
I'm
it,
so happy.
Yeah. And that is how it should be. So I really, again, I thank you for coming in here. Yes. Pisces says thank you as well. And okay, so next week I will see everybody again. This will be our first one in the new year, and I have a surprise for you. Don't worry, it's not going to be a workshop. But this year is about us, and I am so excited to talk to you all next week. And I'm going to be putting a few videos out to set things up because I have some stuff on my content calendar that I want to do. To put people on to some things, some other YouTubers that I love, and yeah. So, Javonna, if you don't mind staying, and everyone else, thank you. I bid you adieu, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.